So you've probably been hearing this term, MCP, popping up all over the place in AI circles. It's being called a universal language, the key to unlocking AI's biggest bottleneck. But what is it really? Well, in this explainer, we're going to cut right through the hype and show you exactly why this one protocol could genuinely change everything.
All right, to really get why MCP is such a big deal, let's start with a question you've probably asked yourself a bunch of times. We have these ridiculously powerful large language models now, right? So why don't we have an assistant like Iron Man's Jarvis? I mean, why do our current AI assistants still feel kind of clunky and disconnected?
And yeah, this really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The dream is this all-powerful AI sidekick that can actually do things for us. But the reality? We have a language model that by itself can't even send a simple email for you. It's amazing at talking, at answering questions, but it can't actually act in the real world. And that is the core problem we're about to solve. So, to try and fix this, developers basically entered what I like to call the glue and duct tape era. This was the first real attempt to make these models truly useful. Okay, so it's super important to remember what an LLM actually is at its core. It's a next word prediction machine. That's it. You say, "my big fat Greek," and its brain instantly knows the most likely next word is wedding. That's its magic trick, its superpower. But, it's also its biggest weakness. It can predict, but it can't act. So, naturally, the next step for developers was pretty obvious. Hey, let's connect these LLMs to other tools. Let's give them access to APIs so they can do things like search the web, read your emails, look at a spreadsheet, or shoot off a text message. And just like that, the LLM gets a whole lot more useful.
But, and there's always a but, right? Here's the catch. Connecting one tool is one thing, but as Professor Rossmike points it out, once you start trying to stack all these tools on top of each other to build something really powerful, well, making it all work together is an absolute nightmare. And here's exactly why it's such a nightmare. Think about it. Every single tool's API speaks its own unique language. The whole setup is so fragile. If just one service, like Slack, pushes a tiny update to its API, your whole Rube Goldberg machine can just completely fall apart. It doesn't scale. It's just a total mess of custom code that needs a huge team of engineers to build and then constantly patch up. This is why we don't have Jarvis yet.
So yeah, this messy, duct-taped approach was never going to be the long-term solution. The real breakthrough needed a totally different way of thinking. It needed a universal language.
In the world of software, whenever you have this kind of chaos, there's a classic solution, a standard. It's really just a set of rules that everyone agrees to follow, so all their different systems can talk to each other easily and predictably. It's basically the foundation of how the internet even works. And programmers love standards because, well, they just make life way, way easier.
So that leads to this really simple but powerful question. What if we could just get rid of all those different clunky API languages? What if every single AI tool and every LLM could speak the exact same language?
Then that's it. That is exactly what Model Context Protocol, MCP, is all about. It's a new open standard that's designed to be that universal translator. It's that unified language that finally lets an LLM talk seamlessly to any external tool that also speaks its language.
Okay, so we've got this universal language. Sounds great, right? But how does it actually work in practice to bring this whole ecosystem together? Let's break it down. So the whole MCP ecosystem can be broken down into 4 pretty simple parts. First, you've got the client. That's the app you're actually talking to, like your AI assistant. All the way at the other end, you have the service, which could be your email, your database, whatever. The real magic, though, happens in the middle. The MCP protocol is that shared language they're communicating in, and the MCP server is like the dedicated translator for that specific tool, making sure it understands exactly what the assistant is asking it to do.
And this right here, this is the truly brilliant part of the whole strategy from Anthropic, the folks who created MCP. Instead of the AI developers having to do all the heavy lifting, building a new custom connection for every single tool out there, MCP completely flips the script. Now the responsibility shifts to the service providers themselves, the Salesforces, the Googles of the world. They just have to do the work one time to make their tool speak MCP, and boom, it's universally compatible.
This is the perfect way to see the difference. Before MCP, it was a total mess, a complicated, custom job for every single connection. But after MCP, the tool makers build just one standard connector, and suddenly any LLM that speaks the language can plug right in. Easy.
We're going from absolute chaos to something that's clean, simple, and can actually scale.
Okay, so that's the what and the how of MCP, but let's bring this back down to earth. What does the rise of this new standard actually mean for you?
All right, first things first, let's have a reality check. It is very early days for MCP. We're talking brand new. There are still some technical kinks to iron out, the standard itself might evolve, and hey, there's always the chance a competitor could come out with their own version. So for now, the best thing to do is just to watch, observe, and learn.
So what you should do next really depends on who you are. If you're a developer, a technical person, there's some really interesting opportunities popping up, like building tools to make it easier for companies to deploy these MCP servers, kind of like a MCP app store. Now, if you're not a coder, the smart move is to just pay really close attention. See which big platforms start adopting MCP, let the standard mature a bit, and then you'll be ready to jump in. And that really brings us to the final and honestly the most exciting question of all. Think about it. Protocols in the past gave us everything. HTTP gave us the web browser. SMTP gave us email. MMCP is laying down the tracks, the foundation, for a whole new generation of AI that can actually do things. The only question left is, who's going to build the next killer app on top of it?